Hello there. This is Sherry Simpson coming to you from Armstrong, British Columbia. I'm a transformational life coach. I do psychic card readings and I do work in the Akashic Records, which helps you dig into who you are at a soul level and to release stuff from your past, karmic stuff that's stuck in through past generations, allowing you to connect into your own inner guidance and inner self and connect into how you manifest things into the physical and how you do that in inspired ways, in meaningful ways, and passionate ways, and purposeful ways that are in line with who you are and what you want to co-create with your highest self and your source. So that's what I do. I can do that one-on-one for you. I do it through card readings just like this, and I do it through Akashic Record readings and medical intuitive readings as well. So in a couple of my groups today, I left 3 cards that I was asking people to choose from this particular deck, the Animal Wisdom Tarot. When it comes to connecting in with your spirit guides and your angels and getting messages, a lot of times the messages come in through songs, they come in through things that we read, they come in through animals, they come in through birds, they come in through messages that we hear over and over again. And so you have to be paying attention to the messages. And one of the things for me that has been really loud, especially in the last 6 months or so since I've been traveling through British Columbia, I've been doing house and pet sitting, and there's been a lot of animal messages. So yesterday I actually created a fleeting request to see an eagle, because I hadn't seen one in a while. And an eagle is about a connection to your spirit and a connection to your guides, to know that you're connected, and that view from above that shows you that there is more to life and the human existence than we see in this human world. There's also that higher self and that soul self. And while I was out walking the dog in the morning yesterday, an eagle flew right over my head, and I was like, thank you. And then a little later in the day, a couple hours later, I was taking the dog for a different walk to a different park, and literally an eagle showed up like right in front of me, and it ended up picking up a duck and carrying it across the lake that I was at, and it was just very close. And I think I ended up seeing 8 yesterday. So you get messages from spirit, and it literally was a fleeting request, because I totally believe you need to make your requests and your manifestation requests and your co-creation requests without too much expectation, but with lots of trust and intention. So that means you sort of order a pizza when you make a request. So you don't call the pizza place back 400 times and say, hey, you didn't put anchovies on that? Did you remember that I want a gluten-free crust? Is it okay if I pay here? Or do I need to pay cash? Like, you don't keep calling the pizza joint, or you don't keep asking the waiter at the restaurant, is it done yet? Is it done yet? What about this? Did you remember not to put this on it? You know that I don't like, grain bread or whatever. And so you need to really allow and trust and release that the universe has it covered. And that's what I did yesterday. I had no real intention of how the eagle would come in, and ended up seeing 8. And 8 is actually a really big number that's happening right now as we're finishing up this new moon cycle that just came in. So the new moon happened on the 17th of March, and the next full moon is the 31st of March. So we're going in and creating more abundance, and with Mercury beginning its retrograde around the beginning of spring, so around equinox in March through until about the 10th of April or so, then we're expanding our abundance and releasing things that are preventing us from being more abundant. So that the 8s are definitely important, and as are the 11s, which is our connection to our higher self, our connection to being in the right place at the right time. And so I ended up pulling 3 cards from this Animal Wisdom Tarot deck. And if you picked, then 1, 2, and 3 are the cards that I pulled. And if you haven't picked, then right now just set the intention to pick 1, 2, 3, or 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, or all of the cards. And I'm going to give you the wisdom that came through. So the number 1 card that came through was the Whale card. This card is amazing. It is basically the world card. Its card number is 21, which reduces to a 3, which makes me think it's all about personal power and confidence and empowerment and stepping into what it is that you want and co-creating and creating abundance. So this is the all-encompassing card. And I wrote some things down when I was looking at this. I'm just going to peek in here. Oh, yes, of course. So one of the things that I was feeling into as soon as I pulled this card and looked at it, and it's making the hair on my arm stand up, is that think bigger is definitely something, because with the whale card, the whales can travel all over the world. They are very fluid. They travel in water, which is what we're 70 to 80% of us is made out of water. We're very fluid. And sometimes we tend to have this sense of feeling really stuck and not fluid at all. And we can be, we can think bigger, and we can tend to be more fluid if we choose to. And many of us just don't. And there's lots of circles in this card, and I get that. We need to believe that what comes around goes around, and that if we're stuck in a cycle, it's because that's how we are seeing things. And so we can think bigger in order to expand out of our comfort zone and get into this new place where we can create bigger if that's what our joy is. So I want you to think about expanding your senses, because to me, a whale has a sense with their body to be able to feel things in the water, but they also have extremely in tune senses with their like vibration, which is sort of like hearing, but it's a little bit different for a whale. And so if you have been thinking or feeling or intuiting in a certain way, I want you to think about expanding those senses, because you have the ability and the capacity to think bigger, to swim in bigger ponds, to experience life in a different, bigger, more expansive way. So communicating in different ways, if you've been really into communicating in one or two ways, then perhaps you can expand that. Listen differently, feel differently, experience differently. This is an interesting color card for me, because the water is sort of like an aquamarine color, which to me encompasses three of the upper chakras. So it's definitely some heart-centeredness here. It's definitely some throat, speaking your truth and listening differently, but it's also encompasses some third eye and connecting into your higher self and finding some fluidity and some balance and some expansion in all of those areas. This whale is actually floating into the past, which makes me think that some things need to change. So as we're coming into this Mercury retrograde that happens beginning around the 22nd, then we are healing things from the past. Communications are going to be different. We're healing things that have been coming up for you over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. So if there's been people, if there's been dreams, if there's been situations or experience that have been relevant or very prominent for you, then those are the things that you're ready to heal. So allow your thoughts and ideas and expansion and communication around those people or experiences or situations to be healed, to be released, to be expanded. The other thing I wrote down is, because this card is a 21, which is a 3, can you think in a way of expanding your success? That makes the hair on my arm stand up as well. Expanding your empowerment, expanding your confidence, expanding your ability to co-create and stand into your truth and connect your heart to your third eye, through your throat and back down, and create that figure 8 of abundance and co-creation in a different way that you're not used to thinking of. Another thing that this card makes me think of that I wrote down was the heartbeat of the universe. So a lot of times we can get stuck in feeling the heaviness of what is going on around us, the heaviness of wars, the heaviness of things like tsunamis and earthquakes and all of the people who are being affected in a negative way. But there's also many, many positive things that happen during those experiences, and there's many positive things that we can do within our community and within ourselves and within what we're focusing on. So I get the sense that you can change your take on where your own heartbeat within the universe exists, and change that heartbeat. Yeah, it's making me hear my arms stand up again. This is big for some of you. And so allowing that heartbeat or that sense of creation or that sense of thinking bigger to really expand from within you. Jupiter's retrograde right now, and so we're going within to cultivate our own joy. And once we've created that cultivation, it's as though we're going to exude our light and be able to expand and move out into the planet in bigger, broader, greater ways. So allowing yourself, especially with this new moon energy that we just had, and with Mercury going retrograde soon, allow yourself to really dig deep in to see what it is that you want to co-create with your highest self and with your source. Know that you're not stuck, that in water things are very fluid, and if things are feeling sticky and you're feeling lack and you're feeling like there's not enough, that can shift really quickly, that water is very fluid, that water always finds its way, it always finds a path through. And know that you have that ability to do the same thing, and allow yourself to think more expansive and bigger and broader and more fluid when it comes to creating your own abundance and creating what it is that you desire. So that was the number 1 card. The number 2 card came up as the jellyfish, but it came up in reverse. So I wrote some notes about this too, because I sometimes I do that and sometimes I don't. So today I was inspired to do that. The jellyfish in this card wants to float up to the surface, but it came in reverse. And the jellyfish in this particular deck is called the 5 of Shells, but it's actually the 5 of Cups. And what that means to me is 5 is all about transformation, and cups is about filling your cup, filling your own cup. So if you've been expecting the people around you to fill your cup, then allow yourself to fill your own cup, and that's going to allow you to exude some of what is going on around you. So some change and transformation is happening there. Because the jellyfish in this card with it in this position is actually going down rather than going up, it makes me think that there's some depth needed, some deeper digging needed for you to be able to dig deep within yourself to determine what it is that you want, to determine what it is that you want to release. And there's a lot of pink in this card, which makes me think that it does have to do with self-love, and it does have to do with self-transformation and self-expression and self-expansion. And I get the sense that you've been doing that, but maybe you've only been doing it on certain levels, and it's time to go just a little bit deeper, or go deeper into different relationships than the ones that you've been focusing on. So there's a change or transformation with how you've been communicating in different relationships than the ones you've already healed. I also get the sense that this means that there's more trust required, that going deeper means that it's safe for you to do so, because when this is in the upright position, it's as though there's many shells available, there's many things around that are floating and connecting. But if you see this in reverse, it looks like you need to be your own light, and that things down here are a little bit more lonely and a little bit darker. So perhaps you've been used to having certain things and certain people and certain experiences around you, but maybe they're not exactly available to you in a loving, compassionate way. So perhaps you need to dig deeper in yourself to figure out what it is that would be more loving for you and more compassionate for you, and change those relationships to be providing you with something different. So I get the sense that you just need a different perspective, and that you need a different way of self-loving. I also get the sense from this, oh, this is making the hair on my arm stand up. The jellyfish tends to be malleable and sort of like floaty and moves around in different places. So if you've been too chameleon with your relationships, and you've been jellyfishing your way into being what other people are expecting from you, or what you think other people are expecting from you, then it's time to dig deeper into what it is that you really want, what it is that you need for your own self-love and for your own change and for your own expansion, because you deserve all of those things that are important to you, not just those things that you feel are important to everyone else. So allow yourself to release some of the overwhelm, if that's what these have all been for you, and move into a place of feeling more content and more expansive. And I don't want you to think of this as a lonely place. I want you to think of it as a safe place, as a place where you can say, no, I need time for myself, and allow yourself to take it, where you can do some journaling and spend some time and shine your light on the things that have been a little bit darker. And that transformation is going to create some expansive stuff for you as you shine your light in bigger ways than you shine your light out from without you, as in from the inside out. And that actually allows people around you to be motivated to do the same. So I get the sense that this is creating a sense, or will create a sense of inspiration for the people around you. So you'll be inspiring others, but you need to be inspired yourself first in order to shine the light within the things that are darker within you, and create your own path of self-loving and expansion and joy and those type of things. And I get the sense that the malleableness is perhaps that you actually need to be more rigid rather than more malleable and more chameleon-like. So hopefully that was helpful. That was for card number 2. So the number 1 card was the whale card, which I already spoke about, and the number 2 card is the jellyfish. And that was in reverse today. So the jellyfish is the 5 of cups. So the 3rd card that came in was the bear, which is the guardian of fossils. In this deck, it is similar to the King of Pentacles. And when I think of pentacles, I think of fire. And when I see the bear, I think of hibernation. So I get the sense that perhaps you're not ready to come out of hibernation yet, which is why this is in reverse. And this bear in this position is actually looking towards the past. So perhaps hibernation has been something that you are ready to complete, but there needs to be some kind of closure. So I get the sense that you're moving into a time of action, but there needs to be a time of contemplation, or a time of healing, a time of planting seeds, just like what the new moon is about. And so when I think of a bear, there's one experience that I had when I was in Alaska with a very dear friend of mine who he was fishing, and I decided to go for a run. We were in Valdez, Alaska. It was a very beautiful place. I probably could live there. And I went for a run, and I ran into a mama bear and 2 cubs. And I was like running with my earphones on, and I kind of ran into her, and I was like, oh, this is not good. And like Mama and I sort of gave each other a nod. She had 1 cub that she was carrying, and the other one was beside her. And I just sort of kept eye contact with her and just did a little reverse pedal until I was out of reach of her, and then I was gone. And so one of the things that we think of when we think of bears is we think that they're bigger than us, that they're stronger than us. But for them, it's as though they command this sense of respect. Like I definitely was like, oh, like that boundary is definitely there. I can see and feel this boundary around this woman, this female bear, this mama bear, that was about like, stay away from my cubs, like this is my safe place. This is the boundary. So perhaps you're in a place now where you're not actually being as courageous with this in reverse and with this looking towards the past. You haven't been as courageous, here my arms are standing up there, as you want to be. Maybe you haven't been setting the boundaries. Maybe you haven't been as confident. Maybe you haven't been setting those lines of respect with your boundaries that you need to set. So if you have been saying yes to people when you really want to say no, or if you've been saying no to people when you want to say yes. So are you doing things that are not serving you? Are you doing things that are making you feel less confident? Are you doing things that are really like treading on your boundaries, where you're not feeling your courageous, confident self? Is it time for you to release those old patterns, as we're in Mercury retrograde now? And so perhaps there's time for you to remain in that stage of hibernation just a little bit longer and release some of those things that are outside of you that need to come from within you. Another thing that I think of when I think of bears is them sitting down in like berry patches and eating and just like foraging and wandering. And so with this coming in reverse, it kind of makes me feel like maybe you've been stuck in the past in terms of going to the same berry patch all the time, or not wandering far enough and finding that there's no food or no abundance where you are because you're not wandering far enough. You're not visiting other berry patches. You're not seeing and trusting that outside of your comfort zone, there are things for you to find that are grander and bigger and more abundant. And if you are staying just within the area of the den, then you're not experiencing life as great or big as you can. You're not commanding yourself. You're not feeling the courage that you could feel because you're sort of hiding in your place of solitude, or you're hiding in your place. And that is not, I was going to say that's not worthy of you, but that's not exactly the term I want to use. It's almost like perhaps you don't feel worthy of the expansion that is outside of the area that you're in. Perhaps you don't feel worthy of the abundance and the expansion and the growth, or you don't trust that it's for you, or you don't feel that that the berries that are outside of your area are for you. And I just want you to step into that energy and to allow yourself to heal it as you go through this Mercury retrograde. Allow yourself to cultivate your own joy and to plant your own berry patches, to co-create with your own source, to feel the confidence coming up within you, to feel the ability to set boundaries as you need them, to feel like you are the king of your domain, because this bear really wants to be happy. Look how smiley this bear is. And this bear is like, yep, I have my hand on this. This is like the Five of Pentacles. This is like abundance right here. I can just plant my berries wherever I want. I know that I'm going to find them. I know that, people aren't going to attack me because I'm setting this area of confidence and this boundary of respect. And I'm also having fun, and I'm exploring, and I'm being in nature, and I'm trusting my own guidance. So that is where I see you, but there needs to be some release and some change of patterns and some expansion and some change in communication before that is you, where you become this bear that commands respect. And I don't mean that in a way like, people should bow down to you or anything, but I feel like you need to step into that place of abundance and worthiness and know that you're worthy just because you're the king of your own domain, and that's the way that you're meant to be as a human on this planet. So step into that bear confidence that you have. So that was the number 3 card. The number 1 card was about the whale. The number 2 card was the jellyfish in reverse. And the number 3 card was the bear in reverse. So if you'd like any if you'd like a personal reading, or if you'd like any more information about me, then I can leave the links below. And I hope that this Mercury retrograde creates lots of abundance for you. I hope that this sense of going within and being able to co-create with your own source in a higher self, connected to human self way really serves you, especially over this time while Mercury is retrograde, and you're cultivating joy within you and learning that you're worthy and deserving of abundance, and that you can co-create that by being a part of the human world and of the spirit world. I think that's all I need to say today. So namaste. Have a beautiful day wherever you are.